Was there a sense that maybe there was something going on behind the scenes there, do you think?
Well, I thought it was a very strange inquest from a legal, procedural point of view. I mean, here you had the guy presiding over it announcing de facto at the start, this is not a murder. Well, shouldn't that be left to the jury? Personally, I thought, odd. What would have happened in a normal case like that? You'd have waited for the jury to decide on evidence. Secondly, I thought it was very, very strange that the prime suspect from the Fayed camp, Duke of Edinburgh, was simply never called. Now, you may not think that he's a murderer, and I don't happen to think he is. I think that's probably fanciful. But I think he should have been called to give evidence if this is a proper inquest. Because everybody else who's been through an inquest process knows that key people involved all get called. Why wasn't he called?
Even as a result of the inquest, you have a verdict which opens another door, a verdict which the public and the media have always misconstrued. It wasn't a verdict of accident. That was an option, but the jury didn't choose that. They chose unlawful killing, and they specified the circumstances for that. It related in part to following vehicles. And what we do know from the evidence is that the vast majority of the following vehicles did not relate to the paparazzi. And that's the illusion that's always been made, that it was the paparazzi following closely that caused the accident. Well, that's not right.
I went over to Paris and I started this book believing it was an accident.
Really?
I was convinced it was an accident.
Really?
Yes. But then, as a journalist, you will know, if you start asking ordinary questions and you get stupid answers to little questions, you think, why? Why did they wash down the roads and the things, forensically killing it with soap and water 3 hours after the crash? Why did they give it to the criminal brigade to investigate and not the traffic police? Why, when Mercedes-Benz instantly after the crash offered to send two of their top experts to examine the wreckage and help determine what had happened, the French police wouldn't allow them anywhere near it, and they've never been allowed near it? Why, having shouted to the world that Henri Paul was 3 times over the limit in drinking and had hairline traces of drugs for alcoholism and depression, why did they stop at that? Why did they not tell the world that there was also 25% carbon monoxide in that blood sample? That didn't come out for 10 months after the crash. He would have had over 30% in his blood when he left the Ritz Hotel.
Which means he'd be dead.
Well, he'd be dead. If he wasn't dead, he'd be crawling about, spewing on the floor. It didn't happen. It wasn't his blood.